Neville Goddard, a compilation on negativity. For Rama. One day you will know that this world which seems so real is a dream, that you are never a rich, poor, white, or black man, as these were only states you dreamed. Do not be concerned with the horrors of the world. Simply remember that all is ordered and correct. Instead, fall in love with the I Am within you and change your world. God made it as it is now, and He can change it, for your husband is a creator. Everything in your world can be traced back to your own wonderful human imagination, who is God. Trust in God lecture. I can sit in that chair or stand here, or walk the streets, and I can't stop talking. Man does not realize that he is talking, because he is never still enough to listen to the voice speaking within himself. But inwardly he is whispering what outwardly is taking place as conditions and circumstances. Most of the things he whispers are negative in justifying his behavior. There is no need to justify. He is excusing delay or excusing failure, or he is arguing, or he is judging harshly, or he is condemning. Many of us have a secret affection for hurts. We don't want to be liked by certain people. We just wouldn't like it if they liked us. We just don't want certain things to take place in our world, even though they may bring a greater comfort and a greater satisfaction. Man has a peculiar, strange feeling, a little affection for the feeling of being unwanted or the feeling of being hurt, and he likes to talk about it. We'll try to pull that man out of that habitual state. It would be just as difficult as to keep that soldier boy away from that sordid room. He goes back into the sordid rooms within himself. You don't see dishes unwashed within yourself. But if you could only see the internal psychological state in which most of us abide, we would see a room far dirtier than the one that George Price illustrated in the New Yorker magazine. They are all unwashed plates within us. On the outside we wash them, but we are told in the Bible, we leave the inside unwashed and we become whited sepulchres. Now if I sincerely desire to change my world, there is no one in my world I need change but myself, so that I don't need to change you as an individual, but I do need to change my attitude towards you. If you dislike me, or if I think you dislike me, or if your behavior offends me, the cause of my offense is not in you and your behavior, but I must look for that cause within myself. Now if I seriously and I am honest about my search, I will find it, and I will find that inwardly, when I think of you, it is never a pleasant conversation that I carry on with you. So let me sit down and bring you before my mind's eye. And as I bring you before the mind's eye, let me imagine a conversation which would imply a radical change in my world. Let me bring you up and change my attitude towards you by laying new tracks relative to you. Now if I repeat the conversation and do it more often, then it becomes a habit, and I will find that when I am on my Father's business in the outer world, I am inwardly through habit carrying on these changed and lovelier conversations. Now a transformation of consciousness will definitely result in a change of environment and conditions. But I mean transformation of consciousness. I do not mean a slight alteration of consciousness like a change of mood. It is nice to change a mood from some unlovely to a lovely, but I want a transformation. And by transformation, I mean that one state into which I have moved and moved so often that it becomes a habit, and that state grows stable, so that it expels from my consciousness all of its rivals. Then that central habitual state defines my character, and really constitutes my new world. It spells out a transformation, but if I only do it a little bit and return to my former state, then I might have had a temporary lift, but I will not notice radical changes in my outer world. I will notice these changes in my outer world if inwardly I have truly changed. Then without effort on my part, I will find the outer world changing to correspond to the changes that took place within me. So you bear it in mind. I can't stress it too often. I can't give it too great importance. This wonderful thing called man's ability to talk within himself and without the aid of anyone in the world. Sitting alone at home, you can construct a sentence which would imply the fulfillment of the ideal. You could construct a sentence which would imply that a friend I blessed, that she has realized her objective, that the thing you know she wants she has. So what would she say to you had she realized it? where you listen attentively as though you heard, and you will really hear if you are still enough. You will hear as coming from without what really you are whispering from within yourself. 3 Propositions Lecture. When you see a disturbance in your world, you may question why, but it appeared because you did not control your imagination. You may enjoy carrying on arguments with your children, your parents, or friend from premises that are stupid and need not be. But if you know that all things must come to pass, why are you doing it? If you believe that every thought produces what it implies, then stop a negative, undesirable thought and change the record by putting on a new one. The Lord our Potter Lecture. The law has its positive as well as negative side. I am not here to judge you how you use the law, but leave you to practice it as you will. If you are in the habit of thinking negatively, you are not going to sustain the thought that you are all you want to be. You may hold it for a few seconds, and if it does not prove itself instantly, you may deny it. But in order to play the game of life, you must know the rules and apply them. Let us learn the rules of the game of life and play it. After you have assembled your mental state and allowed it to occur within you, you do not have to repeat the act. You cast your bread upon the water the moment you felt relief. Although you do not have a physical expression in a sexual manner, relief is possible. And of all the pleasures of the world, relief is the most keenly felt. When someone you dearly love is late, you anxiously await that key in the door, and when you hear their voice, your relief is keenly felt. That is the same kind of relief you will have when you have imagined correctly. If you find it necessary to recreate the act every day, you are not casting your bread upon the water. You may imagine over and over again, but you are only going to impregnate once. And if you reach the point of relief, your bread has been cast upon the water to return, perhaps in the matter of an hour. I have had the phone ring minutes after I have imagined it, to hear confirmation that it has happened. Sometimes it has taken days, weeks, or months. But I do not repeat the action once I have done it and felt the feeling of relief, for I know there is nothing more I need to do. Learn to consciously play this game of life, for you are unconsciously playing it every day. I am sure the millions who are on relief feel the government owes them a living. But there is no government, only we who pay taxes. The government has no money and can only give what it takes from our pockets. Those on relief are complaining, claiming they are not getting enough out of our pockets, and that mood persists throughout their day. Their mood never varies, so they see no change and recognize no law between the mood they are sustaining and the outer world they dislike. If they were told that their mood was causing the phenomena of their life, they would deny it. No one wants to feel that he is solely responsible for the conditions of his life, yet there is no other cause. God is the only cause, and he has man's own wonderful human imagination. The Game of Life Lecture. I say the universe is infinite response, but it also gives back more than you can imagine. It is pressed down and running over. Therefore, to be negative can be frightening. The good will come back 1,000-fold, but so will the negative. But if I am optimistic and do not waver, I will bring that also pressed down and running over. It is something wonderful. It will come like a gusher. The world responds more than it takes, and it gives to the individual more than he imagines, good or bad. People cannot believe they are responsible for their imaginal acts. They do not want to believe it. I cannot be free of the results of what I imagine. Go out determined to prove it. I want everyone here to test it. Take someone who is really distressed, and if you believe in the foundation, you will leave here tonight without any concern for them. Even if you receive wires stating things are worse, it might take a week or a month, but that which you have imagined, if you remain faithful, will come. Let no one tell you that something cannot respond, but when we are still part of the machine, we cannot quite see that we are the cause of everything in our world, and we hope good fortune will smile upon us. Then when you set something bad in motion, as the machine turns, you cannot see what caused it. But when you become awake, you can control the machine. It responds to the imaginal acts of the awakened man, for the awakened man is in control. It makes no difference who you are or what you have. The man who cannot always sign a check to realize a dream is better off, for he is more awake, for he must use the talent God gave him, which is God himself. If I can always put pressure on someone to get what I want, I will never know I am this machine. But if I have to do it all within myself, then I know. The Fourfold Gospel Lecture. I tell you, imagining creates reality. If you want to change your life, you must become aware of the ideas you are planting in the mind of others. When you meet someone who is negative, put a lovely idea in its place. Then whenever you think of him, imagine he is telling you something lovely. And because you now walk in a world that is not disturbed by his negative state, when he finds himself no longer thinking negative thoughts, he will never know you were its source. You will know it, and that is all that is important. Become aware of the thoughts you are thinking, and you will know a more pleasant life. It makes no difference what others do. Plant loving, kind thoughts, and you will be blessed in the doing. Imagining Creates Lecture. We must practice separating ourselves from our negative moods and thoughts in the midst of all the troubles and disasters of daily life. No one can be different from what he is now, unless he begins to separate himself from his present reactions, and to identify himself with his aim. Detachment from negative states and assumption of the wish fulfilled must be practiced in the midst of all the blessings and the cursing of life. The way of true metaphysics lies in the midst of all that is going on in life. We must constantly practice self-observation, thinking from our aim, and detachment from negative moods and thoughts if we would be doers of truth instead of mere hearers. Man is pure formless consciousness, and that which he conceives himself to be is an illusion or reflection of the particular ideas he holds true. These illusions exist only so long as man focuses his attention upon them and gives them life. The conscious mind forms beliefs and opinions from the evidence of the senses or the perceived outer world. The creative power within each of us accepts as true that which the conscious mind impresses upon it. Your creative power takes those ideas which are thought of with feeling and projects them in your outer world. It is important to remember that not all thoughts are creative. Only those which are believed to be true, or which are joined with feeling, creates the circumstances and events that you will encounter. Therefore, emotions such as anger, fear, love, or joy are creative. You must guard the emotions which you allow to enter your consciousness, just as you would discriminate in allowing a stranger into your home. You cannot allow negative emotions to fill your mind without suffering the consequences of experiencing the state with which those emotions are joined. Fear of loss brings loss into your world. You could take every outward precaution to guard against loss, but if you fear loss, you will most certainly experience it in your affairs. Feelings of love and joy create happy events and loving relationships. Feeling abundant brings riches into your life. A person who is unloving or suspicious and feels that others take advantage of him draws to himself that which he believes. No matter what he does externally, his relationship with others will reflect that which he accepts as true. He may want a loving relationship, but he can draw to himself only that which he is conscious of being. Like literally does attract like, as within so without. Consciousness is reality, and that which is perceived by our senses and appears so real is but the shadow of that which we believe ourselves and the world to be. First, we must be like the watchman at the gate. We must watch every thought that contains I am. If you are observant, you will see that you have created every circumstance and experience of your life. Another important word to watch is if. The conscious mind is very subtle in expressing doubt. We may be able to keep our minds focused on what we want by using positive I statements. If we are not careful, we may let a little if sneak in without recognizing its implication. We could say, I feel wonderful, but then follow it with, if the pain continues, however, I will see a doctor on Tuesday. Ifs are always followed by something negative, and that is simply doubt creeping in to steal the good seed we have sown. Remove the word if from your vocabulary, as it is not productive of that which you would like to reap. If puts everything in the past or future tense, and I always experience what I believe I am. I am is not future tense. Getting well is not being well. I must believe that I am already what I want to be. Think about some past disappointment you may have had. Perhaps you are looking forward to attending a special event with someone. In your anticipation of it, did you think, "This is too good to be true, something will probably happen to spoil it"? Something probably did happen to create conflict or to cause you to miss it entirely. Man finds it relatively simple to disregard the promise of something good by thinking of all the reasons why he cannot achieve it. People around you may be quick to point out that you are being unrealistic when you mention a desire that appears difficult or impossible to reach. We should all be unrealistic in the face of the army of doubt if we would experience our wish fulfilled. We are called upon to disregard the facts which would deny the achievement of our heart's desire. Habit is the only thing that keeps our thoughts moving along the old familiar negative ruts. No one can change your thought patterns and therefore your life but you. It is worth all the effort it may take to center your attention and feel as if you already possess that which you want and place the things as they are. Consciousness is the only cause and the only reality. Every negative experience was produced by first giving attention and feeling to that condition. What consciousness has made, it can unmake. Your responsibility is to impress upon your mind the change you wish to express. Your imagination is the creative power that can and will accomplish the end without effort and in a natural way. Assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled is using your imagination creatively to bring into your world that which you desire to experience. You can use the art of revision to change the effects of prior thoughts and beliefs. If, for instance, you have gone to an interview for a job you truly wanted, but later learned that someone else was hired, you can revise that news to make it conform to what you wish you had heard. If you react by feeling depressed or assume any other negative attitude, you will then experience the same type of rejection in the future. Your reactions, whether positive or negative, are creative of future circumstances. In your imagination, you can hear words congratulating you on getting a wonderful new job. That imaginal act now goes forward, and you will encounter this pleasant experience in the future. As you review your day, it is important to revise each negative reaction so that you can remember it as what you wished had happened rather than storing that memory as it did occur. What you think of with feeling or emotion is an actual fact. That which you experience in the physical world is merely a shadow, reflecting the reality of your imaginal activity. Therefore, when you revise a conversation, an unhappy experience, or a quality about yourself, you are literally experiencing it in reality, your consciousness. The outer world is a delayed reflection of the inner, and is confined to a dimension of space where events occur in a time sequence. Revision, then, literally changes the past. It replaces what occurred in the outer world with the revised version. The revised scene then gives off its effect by going forth to change future events. Dwelling on past irritations or hurts perpetuates them and creates a vicious circle that serves to conform these negative emotions. The circle can be broken by starting now to revise anything that you no longer wish to sustain in your world. By revising the past, you rid yourself of any effect it may have had on your future. Revision is truly the key which can be used to unlock the doors that have kept you trapped in a particular state. Imagination Creates Reality lecture. All day long, people are reaping the most horrible things in the world, and it is all what they have planted unwittingly. They sit down in New York City, and they read the little paper, the news from beginning to end. It's the biggest paper in our country. It has a daily circulation of 2.5 million. I think the Sunday circulation is about 5 million. It's a little tabloid, and not one word in it is anything but negative. Who murdered whom? Who is raping whom? Who is living with whose wife? And this sort of thing, and they love it. And of course, their little lives are drab anyway, so it's sort of vicarious, and they fatten themselves with all this nonsense as they go to their job. For 1 solid hour they are reading it. While when things happen in their world continue to happen in an abnormal manner, they don't realize that they are doing it. But the whole thing is done by them, they are fattening on it, no discrimination at all. It's like going into a restaurant and asking, "What does the chef want to get rid of today?" It's the same thing, and he says, "We have too much of the stew. We had it for 4 days and can't sell it, and that's what we want to unload. Call it by a different name today and unload it." Well, I don't go for that. Give me the menu. Power Lecture. This concludes the compilation of Neville's lectures on negativity. Soul kiss to you.